Hey friends, today I'm coming on to share with you how I created these yarn wrapped mummies, and then I wrapped one with two different types of lace. So the first one I created was this really puffy white one with this really nice thick yarn from Hobby Lobby. You can't see the eyes very well on this one, so I need to figure out a way to like open that up a little bit to see the eyes better. And I added a little ribbon bow that I created. And then I tried wrapping it with lace. So I have two different laces, a really wide lace and white, and this off-white lace, and then added a store-bought bow here. And you can see this one is much flatter than the puffy yarn. And then I just was experimented, pulled out this yarn from Dollar Tree in this light pink, and wrapped with that one. Add another store-bought bow, and I wasn't too worried about the backs being perfect because they would be attached to my projects. So I thought we would create one of these together today. Now I did create these three with a 3-inch circle, and I cut that from my Cricut, and then I cut out some 2.5-inch circles as well. So I'm curious how the smaller circle is going to work versus the bigger circle. So for the yarn I pulled out for this time, I pulled out this chunkier pink yarn. I think my mom had given me this. She had gotten this and it didn't work for her project. So I think I'm going to try this today. We're going to see how the smaller circle works. I also pulled out some of this creepy cloth to maybe add a little bit of the creepy cloth on here. I have a scrap of black for my eyes, my AdTech 2 scissors. I've got a larger one for the yarn and this finer one to cut my eyes out. And then I have my hot glue gun on, and I also have a little finger protector from Dollar Tree. So what I have been doing with these is just starting out with a little bit of my AdTech down here at the bottom to get the yarn started, and kind of putting it at an angle here at the bottom because I want to make sure as much of this is covered as I can. And then I'm just bringing it across here, again using some of my AdTech to start out with, and then simply wrapping it. And then once I get around here, I'm adding a line of hot glue because I want to make sure that my yarn stays in place. And then I'm going to add a little hot glue at the bottom here because we want to make sure we cover up this bottom part. And then adding glue to wrap this, because that's the start, to make sure we have our bottom part here covered. And then we have a little bit uncovered, but I'm going to come back to that. So now I'm going to start wrapping up at an angle. I'm going to add a little glue. You could do your wet glue or AdTech glue, whatever you want. The hot glue just works a lot faster. And then I'm going to start wrapping it at a diagonal. Stopping to make sure that I add some glue every once in a while so my yarn will stay in place. And then after a couple wraps of this direction, I want to make sure that I change directions and go a different way, because a mummy isn't wrapped just one way. It's wrapped a bunch of different ways. So once I come around to the back, I'm going to start wrapping upwards again. And then you're just going to repeat this process until your mummy is wrapped. You need to make sure you're mindful of where exactly your eyes are going to go. So I think I'm going to put my eyes maybe here I think that would be the best place. So I'm going to pause, and I just cut out my eyes. I just made a rough oval. So let me do that. I have to do that close to myself. There's one, and it'll need to be kind of, some of the rough edges will need to be taken away. All right, let's straighten this one out. It's a little rough around the edges there. Okay, so there we have our eyes, and you can choose Ad Tack or hot glue for this to add your eyes down. And you can put your eyes wherever you like. I kind of like having my eyes off to the side. Kind of tuck them underneath of the yarn. Okay, so we have our eyes, and then let's just continue wrapping. And I'm going to do the rest of this off camera because I don't think you want to just see me continuously wrapping this. But you get the idea to just keep wrapping until you have covered all of the brown cardstock. Okay, so I have this one wrapped. I'm not a huge fan of how this one turned out. I'm going to add a little bit of glue and try to get that a little bit away from the eyes there. I think this yarn would have worked well with the larger circle, but with the smaller circle, I think it just kind of overwhelms it. So I would be mindful of the size you're using. And if you're going to do a smaller circle, I would do a skinnier yarn, maybe like regular yarn. All right. Excuse me. So let's see about maybe incorporating some of this creepy cloth. I'm not sure how it's going to look, especially on how this turned out. So I'm not 100% happy how this pink one turned out, but maybe if we add a little bit of this creepy cloth in places, it might help. I thought about honestly wrapping with the creepy cloth, but it's too chunky already. So I think we could just add a little bit of it, like bunch it up in a little area maybe. We're going to experiment with this one, especially since I'm not thrilled with how this one turned out. It's going to be an experiment. So let's add a little bit there, and maybe we'll add a little bit over here on the side. And you could always use this as filler too. Like if you don't have it completely wrapped and you're seeing a bunch of the cardstock through, maybe a tiny little piece there. I think this just gives it a different look. Get some of that extra off of there. It doesn't want to stay. All right, I kind of think that gives it a messy look. But I mean, it's okay, I guess. Let's look at maybe adding a bow on. But I kind of feel like maybe the bow might be too much. I don't know. Let's add a bow. Let's add a bow over the little patch of creepy cloth there. I want to kind of press that in and make sure it stays. And I'm kind of feeling like it might be fun to add a button. Like maybe a button here. Let's see. Let's grab... I have some Halloween buttons. or a little container of these buttons that I could use. Let's grab, since we're doing orange there, maybe we'll do an orange. Or we have this fun blue one as well. I'm kind of leaning towards the orange one there. Mummies don't normally have buttons on them, but I think it might be fun to do something different with this one. Okay, there we go. We have a crazy yarn wrapped mummy. It's kind of cool with the new stuff, but I definitely think that these guys are my favorite, and I really like how the lace one came out as well. Thanks, guys, for stopping by and checking out this craft with me. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed this video, and you'll give these little mummy embellishments a try using some yarn and ribbon and lace in your stash. All right, guys, have a wonderful day. Bye.